Welcome to Gold Coast Insider, where we bring you business insights, stories, opportunities and forecasts from movers and shakers across the Gold Coast. I'm your host, Estella Rodiguero. I'm CEO of Regional Development Australia Gold Coast. My guest today is Jan McCormick. Jan came to major events from Broadbeach Alliance, where her transformational leadership drove real success and positioned them as a leader in festival delivery on the Gold Coast and throughout Australia. Some of the notable achievements during her leadership of the Alliance included the extraordinary growth and positioning of Blues on Broadbeach and the development of Groundwater Country Music Festival as major events for the state and city of Gold Coast that have proud national and international reputations with unprecedented returns on investment for the Gold Coast. Combined, these festivals since 2013 have contributed to the total spend to Queensland economy of $183 million. Prior to this, Jan was the executive director of her own highly profitable business events and concert production company. Look, it's so great to talk to you today. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you.
Jan, my first thought is, seriously, $183 million into the economy. That is an amazing amount of money. Like that just brings so much in. I think people don't understand how much these festivals actually bring in.
Quite extraordinary. And just the thing that we concentrated on was to build the tribes. So if you came to the festival next time, you would come with friends and tribes were built. We have tribes of 30, 40 people coming in from New Zealand, for example, and they come in for 10 days. They spend a lot of money. So it's really great. Even though it's great for the pride of the city, and there's a lot of locals come to it, our concentration is on driving people from interstate. And we get about 68% of people actually travel in from interstate to both Blues and Groundwater. So it's really, really important for the economy.
Look, the Blues, everybody knows the Blues. Everyone goes to the Blues on Broadbeach. It's been going, how long's that been going for, Jan?
22 years.
Oh, really?
22 years, yeah, 22 years this year. We celebrated 22 years.
That is amazing.
But remembering we had 2 years out for COVID.
Yeah, but you came back with full force. I mean, COVID was just a little bump in the road, wasn't it, really?
It was really, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got ahead of myself because I was going to try and ask you, what brought you, where did you come from? What brought you to the Gold Coast? Let's start at the beginning of your story.
I came to the Gold Coast in 1980 as part of the Australian Coal Conference. I had been instrumental in the design and development of an underground mine ventilation system with the CSIRO at the time, and we wanted to demonstrate it to the Australian coal industry, which also had a lot of international participants. So we were the only exhibitor, essentially. The tablet that we brought up was twice the size of a normal kitchen table. It's a big thing. It was a big thing. Had to come by truck. And I met my husband there. He was producing the conference. And 6 months later, I moved up. And then we started the business together.
That's amazing. So you actually met at a conference at the Gold Coast?
Yes, we did. We did.
Oh, that's poetic, isn't it? I love it. Okay, so what happened after that? Now, tell us the story. So you met and then you moved up 6 months later. What happened then?
And then we developed a really strong conference production and concert business. Coming from a software background, I decided to package everything up. So package open ceremonies, package gala dinners, packing closing ceremonies, etc., and giving our clients an opportunity to choose one of three each year, because often the delegates aren't the same. Mm. And we had the who's who of Australian businesses, and we had an extremely successful business, and we did a lot of work internationally as well.
Wow, that's a good story. So we'll jump forward a little bit, quite a bit, I'd say. And we'll go straight into major events Gold Coast. So how did that emerge? What was the background to that?
So major events Gold Coast is the culmination of Connecting Southern Gold Coast, Surfers Paradise Alliance and Broadbeach Alliance. The city wanted to bring those three alliances together to have a centralised focus and to concentrate on building major events. Coolangatta was more a precinct-based environment. They did have Coolie Rocks on. We'd always wanted to get our hands on Coolie Rocks on just quietly. But also Surfers Paradise Alliance did a lot of great things. They had the sea fire and a few other things like that. But the city wanted us to build more events like blues and groundwater. So we all came together on the 1st of July 2020, best time in the world to start a business right in the middle of COVID. But we survived. I mean, we sadly, because of budgets, etc., because of COVID, I could only bring across half the staffing. Our budgets were cut by 50%. So bring across half the staffing. But our primary goal was to, when we came out of this horror, and none of us knew when that would be, we would be able to deliver to the city a full calendar. And we just kept deferring events with people. Everyone still wanted to come, but it was a really hard task to keep the calendar moving. And what I decided with our team, and the board decided with our team, is that we must deliver as many of our own events. So at that stage, it was Broadbeach, Blues on Broadbeach, Groundwater Country Music Festival, Coolie Rocks On. They were the three main events. We had to deliver them, even if it was just for the people of Queensland and Southeast Queensland. So we were able to do that in reduced forms. You know, we would normally get, in 2019, for example, Blues attracted 50,000 people a day. Wow. So that's over 4 days, 200,000 people. But with COVID, we could normally, in a park where we'd have 10,000 people, we could only have 3,000 people. So we had to have them all, apart and so on. That was challenging. And but we got there, we did it. And we kept the pride in the events with the city, which is very, very important.
It is. So Blues on Broadbeach this year, has that bounced back now? Like what are the numbers looking like for that? The event
numbers are sitting with TEQ. We don't have them. TEQ do all the evaluations, so it's all completely transparent. I know they're complete. Our sense is, on the ground, we think it was bigger than 2019. Right. And we know that we developed a new product called the 12 Bar Society, and people had to buy membership to it, and they got all this special treatment over the festival. That sold out within days, 350 memberships in days. Not a lot when you look at 50,000 people, but you knew from Wednesday and Thursday it was a big crowd, and it was a crowd that were in, and accommodation bookings were very strong. We're sitting around about 87%. Normally, Blues on Broadbeach would be on the same weekend as the boat show, but the boat show now has moved to the following weekend. And so we're both having very strong accommodation bookings and blocks, which is great. I mean, it's great for the city. And as I said, some of these people come in for 10 days.
I was going to ask that. Like, I was going to say, are they people that come from locally, from Brisbane and so forth, or are they people that come from further away? And if that's the case, do they actually stay longer? Do they actually make it an absolute holiday at the same time?
Our research has shown, and it's shown for many years now, that approximately 68% of the people come from interstate and overseas. We have tribes of people that travel that have met each other at the festival, and it's their annual pilgrimage. And they come in and they, for example, from New Zealand, I know of one group that 30 people travel together. And they block out rooms at the Wave in the centre of the festival, and you see them every morning having breakfast with French champagne, and it's a party for them, and it's adult schoolies really, and they just have the best time. And that's just one tribe. So we try and build tribes, and that's what gives it sustainability.
Yeah, look, it must be an amazingly hard thing to put on a festival of that size over that amount of days. With it must be quite a juggle. I know you're really good at it, but from my aspect, it just looks incredibly daunting. What sort of a team do you have to get behind you pulling this together to get all those bookings and to make sure everything flows fluidly?
I have the most incredible festival director in Mark Duckworth, Duck, aka Duck. Phenomenal man. He's been with me now for 11 years. We have grown Blues together, and he is such a special person. He has a team, the team that actually put Blues on. Yeah. The pre, not on site, but pre, is 6 people. They put it together. That's including marketing, so operations, and they bring that all together. And those 6 people do 2 festivals a year. So they'll do Blues on Broadbeach, and then they might do what's the next one? Springtime, and then the next team will do Coolie Rocks On, and Groundwater Country Music Festival. But when we go on site, there's approximately 200 people. So we bring in a lot of contractors, and our people just manage the site and manage what has to happen. So it's logistically it's extreme, but and that they churn them out constantly. It's they don't just do one event a year; they're just churning them through, and they don't stop. One of our biggest challenges is working with the performers. You're working with promoters, you're working with management, you're working with the artists themselves. Some of them have ABNs or ACNs, some of them have nothing. But then you're working and dealing with people, bringing people out from America and trying to do all that type of thing. That's quite challenging. Now, I have a lady called Carla Clark that looks after all that, and she's sensational. She comes from the movie industry, so she's used to managing all this type of egos that we have to deal with. But it works, and it works really well, and everyone loves us. And the number, we would get thousands of emails at the end or Facebook posts at the end of a festival from artists through to punters that come, just saying how wonderful the experience is, and they really want to come back and they can't believe how they've been treated. So we treat these people like they are very special people.
And I was going to ask the next question. That was coming out of COVID, was it difficult to get the performers, or what has the environment changed after COVID now with booking people or not?
It's changed now, thank goodness. It was really challenging. We booked Tommy Emmanuel, who was one of our headliners this year. We booked him for the 2020 festival. Of course, that didn't occur. So we got him back in 23 rather, got him back in 23. So that's how difficult it has been. Just people coming out of America, the border closures, having to flip, with a week's notice from the state government, just changing things constantly has been pretty challenging. And or artists getting COVID, 3 days before saying can't come to the festival. We've got one of us have got COVID and we've been playing together, so we can't come up. And it's like, okay, so how do we fill that hole? So it's been a very challenging time, but we've got them. We've learned a lot, and we're still all smiling and having fun.
Now, I want to talk about something that only just got released, and I think it's absolutely so exciting for the Gold Coast and for the whole Southeast Queensland, and that is the Pacific Airshow Gold Coast. It's exciting. Do you want to talk to us about that? Because I think that's just been released.
They released today some of the additional lineups, the heavy hitting aircraft from the Australian military and also the US military. I started working on this event. I started in Major Events Gold Coast in November 2019. I got a whole lot of folders on my desk and said which had come from the council. These are events that we don't think that are suitable, and these are the ones that we think you should follow up. And right at the very bottom was this very 2 pages in the folder, and I've looked in there and I've read it, and it was about an air show. My husband is a fleet air pilot, so prior to being a producer. So I knew about these things. I'd been sort of force-fed them. So I rang the guy in America and we had a chat, and I talked to the board afterwards, and I said, I think this is a real go, but it's going to cost quite a lot of money, but I think this will be a game changer for the city. They want us to be a global events destination or build a global events destination. This is going to do it. So it took 2 years of negotiation, working with embassies, working with the federal government, getting letters, doing all sorts of things. And I suppose to a certain extent, having COVID really helped because there was time to do it in a way. So we anyway, we got it to the deal, and I took it to council for funding because it was way beyond our remit in the funding that we had, and we did the presentation and everything else. Now, I've done a lot of presentations at council over the 17 years, and this is the first time every single one voted yes. They were so excited about it. This air show, I went with the mayor last October and our chairman, Darryl Kelly, over to Huntington Beach to experience what they were going to bring to Australia. Now, it's not going to be exactly as they had in Huntington Beach. It's going to take time to grow it over here. 2 million people go to it in Huntington Beach.
Oh,
it's massive. And it is so exciting. It is non-stop. It is varied. It's not all really noisy. You've got to be in a position, you've got to buy that ticket and sit in the fenced area where there's sound systems, and you can hear the narration of what's going on and what's about to happen. And then they play the music, and then they do all the stunts. and then there's like 60 seconds, 90 seconds, and the next one comes, and the next one. So it's not like being on an airfield. The beauty of the Gold Coast, of course, as is in Huntington Beach, is so we sit on the sand and we're watching that. Out in the water, the other side of the flight envelope, because they do their performance over the ocean, is a flotilla. Now, in America, in Huntington Beach, it is the largest flotilla movement for the year that come down from the West Coast to watch this. So there's super yachts everywhere and everything else. And just the spectacle of it is always amazing. So you can imagine sitting on one of those super yachts, or just a tinny even, super yachts, looking at this air show, this spectacular stuff going on, and our skyline. It's amazing.
Wow.
And it's going to go for about 4.5, 5 hours. And Friday's going to be the same as Saturday, is going to be the same as Sunday. So if you come, it's only $45 to bring a picnic blanket. If you go in the fenced area, it's $45. There's toilets, and there's a bar. So you sorted.
Those two, we got them.
Yeah, and you can bring a picnic, or bring a volleyball and play volleyball on the beach. That's what they do over there too. It's
so what area are we talking about on the Gold Coast?
Surfers Paradise Central. So the Surfers Paradise sign, that's Surfers Paradise Central, and it will the VIP suites, which are spectacular to be in, and the level is very 5-star. The VIP suites, and then there's chalets and cabanas you can go. So if you've got a group of friends, say 20 of you, 10 couples, and you want to put in, you'd have to go online and get the exact pricing, but it's not that much. Put in and you hire it for Friday. Or if you're a business, you can have, on Friday you invite your staff, and then on Saturday different clients, and then on Sunday different clients. Great way to sell. I mean, and it's so unique. There is nothing like it in Australia.
Oh, so that is so exciting. So what sort of planes are we going to see? Like, do you have any ideas? Come on, Jen, come on. It's only between you and I. Come on.
So you can't call them planes. They have to be called aircraft. I keep getting into trouble. So they have to be called aircraft. Look, I know that there's F-16s, which are big, grunty US machines coming. To be honest with you, there's lots of Fs and numbers. I don't know much about planes. Aircraft. I don't know much about aircraft. But there is some amazing. If we want to put those figures in, I can go online and have a look at it if you want.
Well, no, I was going to say I'll put a link at the end of this for everyone who's listening anyway. So we'll try and get a link going to the air show. Yeah. And I mean, like, how good is that? Because, we've got an airport here that's going to be utilised, and,
No. Well, we're using Coolangatta, or they're using Coolangatta Airport.
Yeah.
They're using, there's an airport in Labrador that they're using for the smaller biplanes and the little planes like that. They're using Amberley.
Yeah.
And they're using Amberley. In fact, at Amberley, this is an interesting thing. This is how smart this young man called Kevin Elliott is, that owns Code 4, that owns the air show. Mm-hmm. He has 12 containers on ships coming out. One has already arrived. It arrived last week. It is in that is 2 aircraft that are called Yaks, YAKS.
Mm-hmm.
What they do with these things, they did it over in America. They've got one set over there, and they're pretty rare aircraft. There's not many of them around because they're anyway. They join them together. Now, if you go on, I know they join them together.
Yeah.
So and then they they join the plane together, and they put a jet engine in the middle of them.
Yeah.
So they're propeller aircraft. This jet thing in the middle, and the noise. This thing goes straight up into the sky, and it spins. Yeah. And then comes and flips. It's extraordinary to see. Incredibly loud, but extraordinary to see. And these jets, one thing I would say to people when you're coming, please make sure you bring ear protection, because it can be very loud. Those F-16s flying through are extraordinarily loud. They won't go at full speed because they'll break windows, but coming through at half speed, they will just, it's loud, but it's exciting, and it's, like when you do the supercars, there's that constant buzz, cars going. It's not like that, because they're different. You have a break a bit. It's just so exciting. So exciting.
Any events being held on at the same time? And at the same time, like, is there any chance you get to meet these absolutely crazy pilots? I honestly do not know what would convince any person to go flying vertical up into the air and then drop it into a spin. Is there opportunities? Is there events that people can look at and potentially go to?
Not this year. We can't
Oh.
do, we decided that, well, Kevin decided that we just, one step at a time. What they do in America, they have meet the pilot scenarios where you get all the pilots. So you might get the pilots from the Thunderbirds and then the Navy SEALs and and they all come together. Good-looking young men, but they all come together. Straight out of Top Gun. They all wear the clothes. And they all come together and then they sit and they do, and the kids are riveted.
Yeah.
There's hundreds and hundreds of kids and they're on the beach and they're just talking to these kids. And also the pilots, if you're in the fenced area, when they land, or especially the guys that do this parachuting that are coming down, and there's quite a lot of that stuff happens too, or if the pilots have finished for the day, they come along and just meet and greet the kids. Awesome. If you're in the fenced area, they just come along and meet and greet. So it's exciting. But next year they'll have all that sort of thing. Next year they will have a thing called Afterburner, which is a concert. So they'll have a major concert on the Friday and Saturday night, maybe Sunday as well. So that's good. And then, of course, the opportunity for conferences around this event is massive. So, and because of the AUKUS Alliance that we have, we're also going to have a lot of dignitaries here as this event builds. So there is so many opportunities for this city to leverage off this event and create it into being what it deserves to be, which is, I think, one of the most iconic events that Australia will host. We've got Formula One in Melbourne, we've got Vivid in Sydney. I think this is going to be Queensland's event.
What an amazing, unique event to have for the Gold Coast, but for Queensland and Australia. I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait to hijack a couple of children and go and sit in the fenced area and wait for a pilot to come past. Oh, I didn't say that on live, did I? No. Let's move forward. So before I move forward, people can go online. Can they go online and get tickets? When do the tickets open? What happens with that, Jen?
Well and truly for sale. They've sold millions and millions of dollars worth of tickets. So go online. There's plenty available. We've got a very big beach. Right. We're not going to run out of tickets. Yeah. And there's going to be a big media push now because they've just dribbled out the information. Because one of the things with this air show that I've learned from Kevin is that he can't, even though the US military, I had to sign off to say that they could fly in this airspace on the Gold Coast. 12 months ago, I signed off who they were going to commit to perform, right? Mm-hmm. And it was lots, but things change, the world's changed, and all you need is something to happen in the Northern Hemisphere, and all of a sudden it's a very different world. So at the moment, so they can't really commit exactly the variety and the number of them and everything else, like months out, like you would a concert. They have to commit like 6 weeks out, 4 weeks out. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. But I can tell you it's going to be incredibly exciting.
Yes. Is it very much Australian? They're utilising a lot of any Australian talent, like Australian aircraft?
For example, Matt Hall, who is from Northern New South Wales, he's a Red Bull pilot, a stunt pilot. He and his off-sider, there's two of them, a lady whose name escapes me. They will be, of course, flying in the show. There's many commercial aircraft coming into the show. It's not just all military. It's everything. It's all aircraft.
Parachuters and
it's very varied.
It's so exciting. Well, that's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to that. So if everyone gets online, get your ticket and make sure you are there with your picnic basket. So moving forward now we've heard a lot about the amalgamation of a lot of 5 entities, isn't it, into Experience Gold Coast. Can you talk us through that from your perspective of Major Events Gold Coast?
Yeah, Major Events Gold Coast is one of those alliances that are coming through. We are one of the few that are wholly owned by the city, like Hotter. So ourselves and Hotter are wholly owned by the city. The others are membership-based organisations and have a different financial setup. So Major Events Gold Coast will morph into Experience Gold Coast. Experience Gold Coast will take over our, we will have through ASIC, they'll just do a name change on Major Events Gold Coast and take on our ACN. And then the other organisations will merge into Experience Gold Coast. I think it's phenomenal for the city. I think that it's going to have a stronger focus and voice, both locally in the city from the council point of view, also state government point of view, getting funding. We find it very difficult to get funding from the state government because they have Tourism and Events Queensland. And even though TEQ do support us, there would be a bigger opportunity. You know, I've got at the moment 3 other opportunities equally as good as the air show, but I don't have the confidence to move it too much further forward because you need a lot of support from the state government in that space. So that's going to be really good. I think from a marketing perspective, it's going to turn, I hope anyway, I think it's going to turn the marketing focus not necessarily away from just the domestic tourists, but I think that when you look at Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide and Perth, they are driving their tourism pretty much completely by major events. Melbourne's been doing it for years. Sydney started to do it with Vivid, and look how successful Vivid was.
Absolutely.
Our state government's still not playing in that space, but I hope major events, or I hope EGC plays in that space for what we can offer and what we can drive. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to come to the air show. I think, to be honest, I think Kevin's happy with 30 or 40,000 people. I don't know. I think it's going to be more. Why wouldn't you come? But it's going to be, yeah. And a lot of people will be on balconies. And I know that all the rooms facing the beach have been built out. Sold out, but they're not going to hear the narrative. They're not going to have the full experience. I bet the following day they come down to the beach. But so that sort of focus with all of us concentrating on the one area and concentrating on moving forward with a strong focus and direction, I think will be good. Because what we've all done is we've just run off in our own way, and that's not necessarily good.
Yeah.
The big anchor, I suppose, is Hotter, and Hotter's had a very strong focus on what they had to do and what they've done, and they've delivered really, really well, in my opinion. But EGC will be a great thing for the city. The teams will have the opportunity, for example, my operations people have an opportunity if they want to go and work at Hotter because that's a sister company.
Oh, wow.
You know, marketing-wise, instead of marketing just a destination, if someone wants to come in and market an event, festivals. Now, our festivals have, as I said earlier, tribes. They have their own language. You can't talk to Cooley Rocks On as though it's a destination or sell. It's got to be about Elvis. It's got to be about rock and roll. It's got to be about cars.
Yeah, it has a
and they own these events. We're just the portal to give it to them. They own these things. So I think it's going to be great.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent to hear. So just moving on very, very quickly, what do you see as the challenges and opportunities moving forward for the Gold Coast? And I guess taking it from your remix, what do you see the challenges and the opportunities?
Challenge at the moment is staffing. We find it very hard with the crews. You can imagine we've got 200 people we've got to work on a festival site. It's hard to get that staff. A lot of the staff that used to do that, and there were, you could see the same guys every year because they just travel around and do festivals. When COVID hit, they all went regional. Or they went to the mines, So a lot of those, the professional end of that, I think that the city has an opportunity to really build on that event space, education. I know TAFE do courses, and I think the universities do as well. And not just all those people getting degrees, but the people that are the boots on the ground, teaching them and getting them organised and so on. I think that's really important because it's an exciting industry. It's an industry that really gets into your blood. And, the only way my staff change is if they have babies, really. So they love it. It really gets into your blood, and there's a great opportunity. And if you're a great organizer, you just have to have a mind that can just flip from one thing to the next constantly. Good opportunities moving forward. And as these events grow, look, already, once again, I go back to the air show, Kevin's employed 12 people. Hasn't even put a show on yet. So, you know, and those 12 people, lucky people, are also going to go to America and work on the airshow in America.
So they're based on the Gold Coast as well.
Yep. Those 12 people are based on the Gold Coast. And he's just got a building, just bought a building in Labrador, I think.
Yeah.
So he's here. He's here for the long haul, and which is exciting. But it's exciting for I think also, you know, in time, I hope people like TAFE and the universities, when people like his crew come out from America, they come and learn from what they're doing. And because it's so competitive over there, you've got to be really at the top of your game to continue to be. I mean, he is voted the best air show in America.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know, and there's hundreds of them over there. So, but it's because of the quality of the delivery. And so many people, young people can learn so much, even by just walking past and looking at the infrastructure that they build. That, to me, when I was over there, was really impressive. So it's looking at things a different way. But we can, you know, events and festivals are only going to continue to grow. Just imagine how many people the marathon need to put that on last weekend, you know. So volunteer for these things. Get a bit of background in it, and people will employ you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Yeah, and it's a growing market, isn't it? It's not going to go away. It's only going to go bigger and better. And as a career, it's got a lot of stepping stones. Absolutely. You can go from, you know, putting fencing up or scrim up to being a CEO if you want. Yeah.
Or general manager or operations lead, or, you know, lots of things.
It's so exciting talking to you. I'm going to ask you a quick question. What do you love about the Gold Coast? What is it about the Gold Coast that personally you love and keeps you here and enthusiastic and putting on these amazing events?
I love the energy of the Gold Coast. I've been here for a long time. So I was here in the White Shoe Brigade time. And even then, it had a great energy. And I think that it has vision. It has this youth. It's almost like, you know, Melbourne's a bit like a granny, Sydney's a bit like your mum, but we're the young kids coming behind going, watch out, we're coming to take you over. And I love that essence of this city. I think it's just so exciting. And I think any young person coming through and living in this city, any young family, there is so much opportunity for you. Just get out there and do it.
Oh, that is so true. I haven't heard that, but it does have an energy. The Gold Coast has a buzz. I think it's the mayor who said there's two types of people who live on the Gold Coast and people who wish they did. And I honestly, similar, I'm taking a bit of license on that one. But I truly believe that. There is an energy. We've got the best weather. Like, look at it. Look at today. This is winter. It's an amazing day here. And I can imagine that when the air show's on, put this weather on, it's perfect.
Absolutely. And in August, when it's on in August, it's on in, you know, it's all timed because around tides and all sorts of things that they went into. It's the best time of the year, and we don't have anything major on at that time. And it's there's no other event. We will not put another big event on during this event because it will just gridlock the city.
Yeah.
So we have to be very cautious of the fact that we're a linear city. Yes. We have transport issues until we get that tram down to the airport, and we just need to be able to move people in and out easily. There'll be a lot of people come down that highway to come to this air show. We saw it with Harry Styles when we brought Harry Styles to the Gold Coast. It was just constantly coming down the highway. That will happen with this as well. So, but we have to manage it. We have to learn how to manage it. There's a lot of work gone into it from both the policing, the council, the state government, TransLink, and so on. So it should be good.
Yeah, no, it will be. Look, it's been exciting. I'm excited about what you're delivering and the wealth of events that you bring here to the Gold Coast, or you help deliver, or you do deliver. You know, Blues on Broadbeach. I mean, that's iconic now. It's absolutely iconic. And the air show just is going to be. I'm excited listening to it, so I'll be there on the front row. So it's been great talking to you today, Jen. It's good getting to know you as well and hearing all the amazing things that you are doing and supporting for the Gold Coast. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening today. For a complete list of podcast episodes and transcripts, go to rdagoldcoast.org.au/podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter.